So any introductions? Sorry, I didn't get any emails. Gordon?
I don't think we have anyone new here who hasn't participated before.
Okay. So
we do have a few of the people that are, help sponsor the cases have joined as well as the members, but.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody. So I'll just move on to item number 2, call to the audience to attend the meeting by technological means. Members of the public may either access the link to watch the video stream on the MAG website by clicking the view and listen link provided under the related links section at www.azmag.gov/event/27102, or members of the public may submit written comments relating to this meeting to www.azmag.gov/comment within 1 hour of the posted start time for the meeting. Have we received any comments or anything?
No, sir.
Okay. So moving on to item number 3, approval of the August 4th minutes. If everybody could kind of take a quick look at the August 4th minutes, see if you see anything that stands out. Let us know. Give a few minutes or for everybody to look at. Not hearing any comments on the minutes. Can I get a motion for approval?
So moved.
Thank you, Dan. Can I get a second?
Second, this is Carl.
Thank you, Carl.
Let me pull up the voting sheet here real quick.
Okay, thank you. Here we go. Okay, Avondale.
Yes.
Buckeye is a yes. Chandler?
Yes.
Elmirage? Not present. Gilbert? Not present. Glendale?
Sorry, Craig, I forgot to unmute. Gilbert's a yes.
Oh, thank you. So Goodyear? Not present. Maricopa County?
Yes, excuse me.
Okay. Mesa?
Yes.
Peoria?
Yes.
City of Phoenix?
Al Smolko, yes.
Thank you, Alan. Surprise?
Yes.
Oops, I skipped Scottsdale, sorry. Ouch. Completely by accident.
Of course.
Completely by accident. Okay, Tempe?
Yes.
Thank you. And Youngtown? Not present, so Scottsdale was a yes.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Okay, looks like everybody's present was a yes, so approval of minutes. Good to go. Next item. Staff report. Did you get everything you needed, Gordon?
I just wanted to send out a few reminders. I emailed copies of the Public Works mail list. So I did get some responses back from a few people who said they're either okay or had some additions they wanted to make to it. So I'll make those updates, but if you haven't looked it over or sent me information or have any updates, please email those to me. I also haven't put together a survey to send out yet. I hope to do that this month to kind of get the feedback from the group on some of their preferences. But I can say that right now, Meg has pulled back and started doing just virtual meetings again due to the increase in COVID cases due to the Delta variant. But how that's going to look next year is still up in the air. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to do in-person meetings and we'll see what the preference is from the group as far as how we might conduct those and when we start. And then I'm still looking for someone who may want to volunteer to be vice chair next year, and then a couple more years take over as chair. So if you are interested and would be willing to help out, I'd appreciate you contacting me, and I can send you information on what we would need in order to have you appointed. If I don't get any volunteers, I may go looking for some, so be aware.
All right. So from there, moving on. Cases under consideration, item number 5, miscellaneous corrections. Looks like we've only got 3 of them that I'm aware of. We haven't received any additional. Believe we were going to vote on this time. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. If there are no comments.
There was one comment I wanted to make on the detail 321. When I was going through to make the correction in the CAD drawing, I noticed that it says finished grade instead of finished grade. So I thought, well, we were making that correction for referencing the detail here. We might as well fix the spelling on that one.
Yeah, I've looked on a few plan sets recently and I've seen it both ways. Finish and finish with the ED on the end. So I don't have a preference.
Otherwise, they've been unchanged since they were first submitted.
Okay. So not hearing any questions or comments on this. Let's just
Hey,
go.
Gordon, this is Carl. Gordon, have you looked through the rest of our details? Do we use finished predominantly?
We use finished, I think, most of the time. This is the first time I've noticed where it says finish instead of finished, but I didn't go through all of them to compare, so I'm not sure how many do.
Yeah, it's just, to me, if it's a matter of consistency with what we do other places, then yeah, I'd say that to change it. That'd be my preference.
What about using the word instead of finished, final grade?
I don't know if that's less common than finished grade.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard final grade before. Like I said, I've actually seen in the past 2 weeks finish and finished with the ED. I've seen them both. So like I said, I really don't have a preference on this one.
I mean, yeah, finished is fine. Most people know what that means.
So,
But again, a contractor might say, okay, I'm finished with it. It might still be, not what the grade is for design. So
right.
I've actually had that happen before. So
Wow.
contractor claimed he was done and we went check the grade and he was not done. So anyways.
Hey, I just did a quick search in the specs. It looks like we have 9 occurrences of finished grade and 15 of finished grade. So
Does it show up in our definitions?
doesn't appear. Let me see. But I was with Gordon. Most commonly I see finished grades, so that's. But I have no preference either.
We have a finished surface in our abbreviation.
Yeah.
Finished surface.
Can't really easily search the details because the text is not searchable. It's
We could put a definition that covers both cases, finished grade, so it could be used interchangeably, or we all decide on one we prefer.
Finished is what I've always heard and used in the past.
I'm just scrolling through some of our details. We use finished grade on the sidewalks detail.
Gordon, just as a comment, they put FG on blue top stakes. So whether it's finished grade or final grade, at least it's FG.
Yeah, I don't think it's a major issue either way. I just have commonly used finished grade, so that's why I thought it could change.
Yeah, I'm pulling a plan up right now that I was looking at earlier this morning that says finished with the ED on it. So I don't think that there's a big difference.
Let's just go with finished and change them to match finished.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Wasn't that the majority? Warren, he says 15 of those versus 5 or 9 or something.
That was in the
Actually,
specs though, right?
In the specs, it was 15 occurrences of finish. But
Finish or
I'm with
finished?
you, Jim, I prefer, and Gordon, I prefer finished. So
Yeah.
When you did your search, did you just search for that word or did you search for finished grade?
the finished grade.
It sounds like finished with the ED is the most prevalent. Is that correct?
But not currently in the specs. Singular finish is currently, if you do the search, 15 occurrences versus 9. About half.
In building, they say finished floor grade. Everything's finished floor.
That's true.
So I like finished too also. I'll be quiet.
The three,
So we kind of come to a consensus of finished with the ED.
360-1 has a finish on it too. It's a fire hydrant finish. And 360.2.
Hey, Craig, I think we should just go with finished on this detail, approve this detail, and then add both finish and finished to our definitions.
We can do that, or we can make a blooper case next year and revised whatever says finish to finished.
Yeah, there's other details that have finish on them. I haven't found a finished yet on the detail.
Okay, well, I think that'd be probably the best is revising the definitions, and then both are correct.
Okay.
So I think we could probably do that next year on one of the blooper cases. Would that be probably something we could do on a blooper case, Gordon? I mean, adding a word.
It seems pretty straightforward, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So. Okay, other than finish and finished, do we have any other comments on either A, B, or C? Case 2101?
What was B?
B
that
was, B was changing the reference to
Oh,
the,
yeah, that one, that was mine, I think.
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
it's the guardrail reference.
Okay, we're gonna do all three then?
Yeah,
Okay, I'll make a motion.
thank you. Could I get a second?
I'll second.
Right on, thank you. And put the glasses on so I can see. Avondale,
Yes.
Buckeye is a yes. Chandler,
Yes.
El Mirage, not present. Gilbert,
Yes.
KJ, Glendale,
Yes.
Goodyear, not present. Maricopa County,
Yes.
Mesa,
Yes.
Peoria,
Yes.
City of Phoenix.
Smolka, yes.
Thanks, Al. Scottsdale,
Yes.
Surprise,
Yes.
Tempe,
Yes.
Youngtown, not present. All right, looks like we are a 12 yeses. So case 2101 passes. Thank you, everybody. Moving on down to item number 6. Excuse me. Case 2105, proposed new details 542-1 and 542-2. So this is the thing that this was what I was trying to get together before I stumbled into the group. So we did make some changes on this. Let me see if I can pull them up. We changed the numbers just to be consistent with the MAG numbering system. We changed the detail from 529 to 542-1 and -2. Just again, so we could be consistent with how MAG has numbered everything. And we've titled them to the curb opening catch basin with sidewalk, the 3 to 17 foot wing as a type I, which is consistent also with how we've been numbering and lettering details in MAG. And there was a change in detail 542. Gordon, if you could pull that up, 542-1, section BB. In the last revision, the floor dimension showed T as the dimension. We went back and looked at the original City of Phoenix detail, which again, this is based off of, and the City of Phoenix detail showed that thickness dimension to be 6 inches. So we changed it from T to 6 inches. Again, just to be consistent with everything that has been done so far in MAG. And we had some various spelling errors in there that we fixed up that were in there. Removed some unneeded hatching. And detail 542-2, we revised the frame and cover access detail to more accurately show the thickness of concrete and the location of the bars around the outside of it. And just some text variations, general placement of details and whatnot, or drawings inside the detail. So that's kind of where we're at in terms of the revisions. Again, it sounds like we did a lot, but they're very minor changes. So with what's on the screen right now and what was sent to you earlier in the packets, those were the changes. Haven't received any other comments in terms of these details. I believe the City of Phoenix was in the process of looking through these. I haven't heard anything back as to if they had any comments or not. Gordon, I'm not sure if you heard anything or not, but
Nothing new.
nothing. So basically, again, this has been unchanged since the last meeting. with the exception of, again, some of the small things that we've talked about that I just kind of laid out. If anybody has any questions or comments with that, it is up for action today. So if we don't have any comments on that, then I would definitely like to put it up for a vote.
Hey, Craig, can you just explain one more time? You said you changed the number from 529 to 542.
Correct. Because what that does is the 529, the 542 is just the next number in MAG. When we changed it to the type I, that would be the next number in MAG that it changes to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay, that's fine. I was just looking at the details and it seems like they also went in order from curb opening to graded catch basins and the 530 was the curb opening catch basin. So it felt like it fit better at 529, but I see what you're saying when you title it a type I and then it's the first detail that doesn't jive. So I see why you did that. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, that was
Okay.
the problem we identified, is when you actually give it the letter, and H was the last one that's currently in there, so then it would have to come after H, which is way
Right.
back in 540.
Okay, that's fine. That makes sense to me. Thank you.
So thank you.
And the references within them also have been updated, like now it references 542-1 here.
Yeah, there were cross references between the two details, 541-1, or sorry, 542-1, 542-2, and the 529-1-2. So those were all revised as well. So not hearing any comments on these other than what Ryan's had. Can I get a motion for approval?
Yeah, this is Carl. Just a comment that, Craig, you've done a really good job on taking this one up, and we've really gone through it with our structural group here to make sure it's meeting, both drafting and construction convention. So I think it's really a good addition to MAG. So I'm going to make a motion to approve this.
I second it.
Thank you. Okay.
Who was the second?
Al Smolko.
Thank you.
Get our summary. There we go. Let me know when you get started. Are you ready? Okay, Avondale.
Yes.
Buckeye is a yes. Chandler.
Yes.
El Mirage, not present. Gilbert.
Yeah.
Glendale.
Yes.
Goodyear. Not present. Maricopa County.
Yes.
Mesa.
Yes.
Peoria.
Yes.
City of Phoenix.
Yes.
City of Scottsdale.
Yes.
City of Surprise.
Yes.
And City of Tempe.
Yes.
And Youngtown, not present. All right, everybody, looks like we're 12 yeses. So we are good to go. Thank you, everybody. Case 2105 passes. Moving on to item number 7, case 2108, proposed new curb cut details. Proposed new 226-1 and -2 details. Alan, have you been working on these, I believe?
Yes, through Keith. I believe they went through, they were corrected last month, I guess, right after the meeting. And everything looks good on my end. It looks like there were some comments received and everything corrected. Some of the type 1 versus type 2 were corrected. And hopefully there's no comments and we can actually have a vote on this if everyone agrees.
Okay. Not hearing any comments.
Yeah, if there's any questions, we did discuss them in the working group, so I can go through it also with you.
Okay. Thanks, Peter. But yes, not hearing any comments. Can I get a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Dan. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Who's the
So,
second? Excuse me. Who do we have as the second?
That'd be Dave Mobley.
Thank you.
Okay. Case 2108, we'll start roll call once you're ready, there, Gordon.
Sure.
Okay, Avondale,
Yes.
Buckeye's a yes. Chandler,
Yes.
El Mirage, not present. Gilbert,
Yes.
Glendale,
Yes.
Goodyear, not present. Maricopa County, Maricopa County. I don't know if we lost him or not.
Yes, I was muted. I couldn't find it.
Okay, great. Mesa,
Yes.
Peoria,
Yes.
Phoenix,
Yes.
Scottsdale, City of Scottsdale.
Yes.
There we go. City of Surprise,
Yes.
Tempe,
Yes.
and Youngtown is not present. So same as before, 12 yeses. Case 2108, the proposed new curb cut details passes. Thank you, everybody. Alan, and Peter, thank you. Moving on down to case 2111, the revised section 611 to add requirements for potable water hauling. Jim?
Yeah, so we did update this. Gordon, thanks to Gordon, he went and was able to look up this stuff. And so we looked at it, and actually we had our section was wrong. So we corrected the section. It's actually section 214. So we corrected that. So and matched, and compared this to what's in the Arizona Administrative Code and the County Health Code. So we match, we match it what they have, and then we added. So we made the changes in yellow, as you can see, and then we added an equivalent milligrams per liter. That's what it's in the county spec that way. I believe it's in the AAC as well, but we want to leave the parts per million because in the field, that's what everybody's familiar with. And I guess the measuring kits still measure in parts per million. So, we just wanted to provide an equivalent, in case somebody's, really wants to follow the reference specs here. So what you see there is the updated latest one. So didn't change a whole lot, just the number, and added the equivalent section number. So I think it's accomplishing what we wanted to do. So
I wanted to add that the stuff that's in blue are actual hyperlinks to the relevant sections. And those sections are that follows in your packet as reference. So if you were to look at the Maricopa County Health Code, that's what these next two pages are. And the highlighted areas in yellow are kind of the parts that are related to what we're discussing as far as the truck, the hauling the water. And then the next one that's highlighted is the section in the Arizona Administrative Code where you find the information on hauled water. So that's why that number changed, so that it matched the correct number in the code. And then the last 3 pages are I just downloaded the actual permit from Maricopa County so you can see what it is. And that's where I got the name of that specific division. So we updated that here so it matched where you actually get it from Maricopa County. So just these 3 highlighted areas are what were added. Everything else is the same, and just the reference materials for you.
Good stuff. Really good stuff. Not hearing any comments on that. Can we get a motion for approval? I can motion. City of Buckeye.
I'll second. This one.
Thank you, Warren. All right. 2111. City of Avondale.
Yes.
Buckeye is a yes. City of Chandler.
Yes.
El Mirage, not present. Gilbert.
Yes.
Glendale.
Yes.
Goodyear. Not present. Maricopa County.
Yes.
Mesa.
Yes.
Peoria.
Yes.
Phoenix.
Yes.
Scottsdale.
Yes.
Surprise.
Yes.
Tempe. City of Tempe. I don't know if they dropped off or not. And City of Youngtown was not present. So looks like we're 11 yeses on that one. So case 2111
Yes, on that one, sorry.
for Tempe. Thank you. So 12 yeses on that one. 3 not present. Looks like case 2111 revising section 611 passes. Thank you, everybody. Jim, moving on
Yeah,
there.
thank you, Gordon.
Yes. Moving on to item number 9, case 2112, revising section 601 to add minimum testing frequencies. Jim, this was yours?
Yeah, so you see the latest revision from 8/24, it was included in your packet. So we did get some late comments from City of Phoenix that we can go over. The first comment was on section 601.2.5. It says where the foundation material, we're referencing the scarification. So as it's written, it says where the foundation material is loosened or scarified more than 2 inches deep. So City of Phoenix had a comment about where we should say, change that to say where the foundation material is loosened or otherwise disturbed more than 2 inches deep. I'm okay with that because it does, I understand their thought on that, because scarifying maybe means an intentional, preparation that we don't want. Basically, it's just, the intent was if the contractor gets overzealous, and loosens it up too much, that we want it recompacted. So I agree with what Phoenix has revised that to say where the foundation material is loosened or otherwise disturbed more than 2 inches deep. So I'm okay with making that change at this point.
Yeah, that's a great addition.
Jim, that was from scarified to disturbed, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, loosened or otherwise disturbed. So no, that's a good comment. I like that. Because some people might, scarification usually means it's an intentional, preparation of the surface. So the intent, you don't want to, it's just if you get overzealous. So it makes sense to change that. But the next comment they had was this paragraph 601.4.6. And that was basically that instead of the 3% percentage points, they wanted it reduced to 2%. To get more control on it. I know Rob had talked to some of the labs, and I don't know, Rob, do you want to maybe share on what the thoughts from the labs you got?
Sure. Yeah. Well, just the thing about ABC is being a free draining material. In my experience, actually, it's easy to compact it. If it's fairly dry or fairly wet, you can still compact it pretty easily. Still get compaction as opposed to like a clay material that has a tighter moisture spec. The the moisture on the plus or minus 3% for the AB came out of the roadways section. That's where it calls for plus or minus 3% of the moisture. But I don't see a problem changing it to plus or minus 2. Actually, I think we already addressed a lot of that a while back when we talked about processing the ABC before they compact it. To me, that takes care of a lot of the issues as we've had in the past. So if we tighten up to 2 plus or minus 2%, I mean, they can still do it. They can achieve it. So I don't see an issue with that. Keeping it consistent with what we have for the soil anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit more restrictive on the contractor, so I don't know if that's a big deal or not, so.
But it sounds like it's consistent with what's already in there. Is that correct? Am I hearing that correctly?
Yes, for the backfill, for the final backfill is plus or minus 2%.
Okay.
So I'm okay with going to 2%, so. Anybody else have any comments on it?
Rob, this is Brian. Did you say that the in roadway, it says it's plus or minus 3 in the roadway section?
Yes, that's where we get the plus or minus 3 from. Just take it from there.
I don't know that I'm in a favor to make it more restrictive. I mean, you got to confine, what was Phoenix's concern? Did it come from roadway or did it come from the materials lab, or to have it at plus or minus 3?
I don't know. They can answer that.
Now, Rob, do you know that you said we were just talking earlier, the plus or minus 2 that we're changing it to, and that came from section 601 as well, right? Somewhere in there.
Right. That's what we have for the final backfill, the plus or minus 2%.
So since we're kind of talking trenches, I think the percentage, the moisture spec would be a little bit more consistent if it was in the, or came in, or sorry, let me rephrase it. If it's more consistent with what's in the trench section as opposed to the roadway section. So if we're talking a plus or minus 3 for roadways, but we're talking a plus or minus 2 for trenches, kind of a different application.
Yeah, but I was thinking more material because like roadway subgrade is supposed to be plus or minus 2% as well for native. In my experience, if you look at the Proctor curve, I mean, ABC has got a flatter curve, so you can still get compaction pretty good with it being on the dry side or the wet side than normal. And it might be kind of hard for contractors to control the moisture because as they're processing it, putting it in the trench, it will dry some, it'll drain some. They can still make it happen. It's just, I don't know if it's necessary. I don't think it's an issue to change it to that. I'm not sure what Phoenix's concern was specifically about it otherwise.
I don't know. Alan, do you know what their concern was?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Maybe it's something they typically do. I would think I would just leave it as plus or minus 3% if everyone agreed with that. And then every city that does it could also put in there saying, no, we want this thing tighter. So as a mag standard, I'd leave it as it is, but I don't know.
This is Warren. Just to, maybe they got this from, I'm looking at section 301.3 regarding relative compaction, and that's that statement to within 2 percentage points is used there.
In that section, Warren, what are they kind of talking about? Or is it just general compaction?
Subgrade compaction, relative compaction of the subgrade shall be scarified and loosened to a depth of 6 inches and blah, blah, blah. And unless otherwise noted in the project plans or project specification, compaction shall be performed within 2 percentage points of the optimum moisture content.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but that's different. That's roadway stuff.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that's consistency. I agree.
I'd rather stick with what trenching, what we have for, comparative to the trench back there.
Different worlds.
That's kind of what
just touching base on what Brian was saying. I know, right? Typically when we're moisture conditioning material for a trench application, right, in a stockpile with the loader and water truck, right, a little different application versus, place efforts on a roadway, right, where you tend to have some more control of that material in the process versus it kind of being confined in a in a stockpile location and getting that moisture distributed throughout. It may not seem like it, but at times that plus or minus 1% can require a lot more effort.
So I got just some general thoughts on moisture contents. This has always been a bone of contention with geotechnical engineers. As long as you're dealing, if you're talking about a material, it's a lot easier. If we're talking ABC, I think you're parsing terms right here, 2% to 3%. It's not going to matter. ABC has a very tight range. If that backfill can be anything else, though, if you get it too wet, you get pumping. If you get it too dry, you aren't able to readily achieve clays and silts in particular. So think about the material. If these sands, gravels, no problem. 2%, 3%, they'll be able to make it. But anything else in that backfill, you may need tighter control.
Do we want to say, leave it as this and then specify for ABC and then maybe 2% for native?
Well, I mean, let's go with clay. Swelling clay, you want to compact to over optimum. You don't really want to compact it under because you don't want to have settlement issues. So,
yeah, you're correct. So.
Yeah, so it's really kind of material specific. When we do our reports, normally we will look at the material we're talking about. Here, though, you're just trying to come up with a general number. 3% is a bracket. It's not a bad bracket. But if you've got specific projects, you may need to look at that. Again, these are general requirements. So think of it that way. I would tend to leave it at the 3% just because you want to be, it's a wider bracket for it. 2%, well, again, I would look at my soil before I'd ever say, I'm going to have this to that.
Yeah, again, I agree. And nine, they're going to be using ABC in this initial backfill area.
Yeah,
you're not going to have native. You're not going to have native. I don't know anybody uses native.
Yeah, looking at that, I think if native would be used, it would still need to meet that backfill requirement as outlined, which, gradation and material property, right? It's very rarely that you're going to find material that's able to meet that anyways. I mean, everything that we've always done, bedding, haunching, initial backfill, the pipe zone, we're using ABC as slurry material. So, above the pipe zone, right, is a different story, which often we reference the geotech on, is what type of compaction effort is going to be required based upon what it really is. And there you get into that whole pumping issue and silty clay material, which tends to be challenging at times. But from what I'm referencing here, right, this is just bedding, haunching, and initial backfill material, which I would assume is pipe zone and, things that area that is required to have ABC around it.
You're not going to get in either trouble. If it's ABC, 3%, 2%, you're not going to be in trouble either way.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm looking at it. Yeah, it did come out of section 310 is where it calls for plus or minus 3%. I think because it's ABC and it's more forgiving with the moisture.
All right, so I think the majority here is just to leave it as is. If it's a problem, we can always come back and fix it later. So for now,
yeah, we got to remember the past. Yeah, in the past there wasn't a moisture spec in here too, which someone pointed out. I never even thought about that, but there wasn't a moisture spec on the ABC bedding in initial backfill.
Hey Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't this particular element come from the city of Phoenix? Wasn't this one of the things that Rob over there brought forward with this, as them seeing this to be a problem? And I would assume that this was the language he brought.
Yeah, I don't remember about that, but yeah, someone did. I know someone did bring it up about processing the material outside the trench and then putting in the trench process. I can't remember if that was Rob or who that was. And then the question came up with what percentage we use. And then that's when it came up that, we use the roadway spec plus or minus 3%, which to me makes sense. So it's a lot more than we had in the past. In the past, it didn't call for processing the material at all. I mean,
So
I'm
yeah, I propose
Plus or
just
minus
leaving
3.
this one as is, so.
Okay, sounds good. So we're looking at possibly changing 601.2.5. Just
Well,
a
yeah,
little bit.
they had another comment here. I don't, doesn't make sense because it's 601.4.6, the third paragraph. This is for the test holes, the test pit section. And it says, it says supposedly his correction was excavation of test pits shall be done under the full-time observation of the engineer or excavation of test pits shall be done during full-time by the engineer.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah,
it's
the
just
wording-
semantics. I think it's just semantics instead of by, you want it of the engineer.
Yeah, the wording's not real different.
So I don't know what that affects. So
If Alan with Phoenix, do you know why that was being proposed to be changed?
I do not know why.
I mean, this is something Rob Duvall brought up a while back, like Jeff was saying in one of the meetings we'd had, and the concern about potholes being dug by contractors without observation by a technician or an inspector. And then we went back and forth on that. And so I don't know if there's a concern with the language. I don't see a whole lot different really. I guess one implies as being observed and one implies it's maybe being directed.
Yeah, just looking at his wording, it seems like he wants in there that the excavation shall be observed.
no, it's already in there. So I don't, other than for or by, I don't know what the difference is. And it says by the engineer or designated geotech rep. So I don't know. I don't understand that comment. I think it's
Yeah,
incomplete.
and he says minor rewording, so I'm not sure. It says the intent is that it's observed. So, maybe it doesn't need to be full time, or maybe some text needs to change in here. But the intent, it needs to be observed. However, we put the words together.
But that's what it says, full-time observation. It doesn't say be done by, it says observations. I don't understand it. So.
That's obviously so the contractor don't prepare the hole when they're not there. Dig a soft hole up, beat it into compliance. I mean,
does that
I
happen?
think it's a credibility thing. Personally.
Yeah.
And if you want an agency there on every act that you do, you won't even be able to move on a project. I just think it's ridiculous.
No.
Anyway, that's
and Paul, in my mind, well, when we were working on that, that's why we said geotechnical designated geotechnical representative. Because if I can't be there watching Paul, well, that's fine. As long as the lab is there watching them, telling them where to dig holes, how deep, I'm good with it. I just want to make.
Yeah, again, guys, we're just trying to be more flexible and inclusive. If the inspector wants to look at it, he can. If there's a designated lab, they can. So that's all this provides for.
Yeah, but does it tie our hands together so we can't do anything until you're out there looking at it? That's one of the issues. That's all.
But I think that's one of the items for test pits. So if we're just gonna, keep going, not slow down, we got to have a little bit of something in there for us to be able to say, yes, we are comfortable with what's there.
Agreed. But by the time you get to the test pit, if you aren't already comfortable with it, there's a lack somewhere in the construction process.
That's an excellent point, because you can sit there and you can watch their methods of operation and be content with it. I just know there's been some projects where you go out there and you can watch them on Monday and everything's great, and by Friday things have changed because he's got a date for the night or something, and he's just trying to hurry up and get out of there. So
well, that's the intent of this, guys. Paul, is that the contractor needs to be getting this stuff tested. The problems we're having is they're not getting the tests you know, and so the contractor's got to communicate with the assigned lab and say, okay, I need these done, because we're having problems where the inspector goes back the next day and everything's backfilled. And it's like, well, did you test it? And the guy says, yeah, I did. And that's all we got to go on. So we've got to put some teeth in this, because, you know, that's the problem here.
I think Phoenix's method of having a test log before you even start a job, you have to have a whole geotech log, know what you're going to do and what it's going to be about. And it solves a hell of a lot of problems, you know, when you do it up front, for sure. So.
Well, you know, I think now that you start talking about that, Paul, I think that's a very good point. Now that we've got this case and now that we've got our testing frequencies, I think those logs will be much easier for these consultants and these geotechnical representatives, if you want to use the same term, to create those logs. You know, I've seen the same log that you're talking about, and now we've got something that says, hey, every 500, every lift, and now they can go through and do that.
Right.
I think we're going to start seeing more of those, but requiring those again. I think, you know, Phoenix they've got a little bit more staff than most of the other smaller cities, so something like that is a little easier, I think, for them.
Well, and again, the intent when we started this, guys, if you recall, was to kind of get a consensus of what all the cities are doing and kind of come up with something that works for everybody. It's not going to be as strict as Phoenix, because we didn't want to go to that end of the spectrum, but we needed to put something in there as a baseline, because, you know, there was nothing in there. So you're not going to please everybody, but I mean, this, I think, you know, comes a long way. So.
It comes a long way, for sure.
So again, the point here is that if you follow the process that's identified here, which is you take tests on the frequency, on the lifts, and you have the documentation, you're in fine shape. This is only when that doesn't happen. And I would say that you'd want that, I don't want to call it punitive, but it's like, you know, the situation you just said, you walk up, everything's been compacted, you go, hey, where's the testing? I have it in my standard. You're supposed to do testing. Well, yeah, we did it. No problem. No, you then have at the option of the agency can go back and say, nope, dig here, dig here, dig here. I want to watch you and verify you have this.
Exactly, Peter. And that's what we try to do. Again, this is trying to work with the contractor, because instead of making them dig up everything and say, hey, I didn't see this, you got to start over again. With the agency, he says, well, let's dig some test pits just to see, just to verify if what you're saying is true. So, and the agency has a right to choose that, I think. So that's the purpose of this. So
now, this is less onerous than saying rip it back up and recompact it.
Right.
Exactly. Very much less.
Yeah. And there's even some coordination with the engineer or the designated geotechnical representative as well. So like, again, back to your point, Jim, you go there and it's backfilled and done. So now you coordinate with the geotech and say, hey, tomorrow come in here. I need you to sit here and watch them dig up these holes. So it's scheduled, it's in, contractor's happy. Everybody gets everything that they need. I think that it's the way it's written. I think it's great.
Just a question here. Is it clear that that's how, I mean, that's the whole point of the test pit, or does it need to be more like written more clearly so that, hey, that's the intent of it. That's the whole purpose of this, is so that you don't have to go through that process. Can be made more plain, but that's the intention.
And maybe the term in there, maybe it's previously compacted lifts that have no test information or test data. Or untested, or something like that. Is that what you're talking about? It's not clear on it?
Yeah, but I mean, yeah. So if it's as clear as possible that that's the intent of this portion of it, because just reading it here, it doesn't. That's not readily apparent.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It doesn't specifically reference an area that may have not been documented with prior testing. Essentially, you can read it as, hey, you can go back and require a test pit to be done to document previously compacted lifts that in theory could have been documented and observed by the tester.
Yeah, and that's happened to me as a contractor, and it's no fun.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I know theoretically we're the same way, right? We're going out, we're installing a pipeline, we're coordinating obviously geotech and quality control tests, quality assurance tests, and typically we would have an inspector present during the time of those tests, you know, and taking it within the testing frequency requirements. And if for some reason that inspector or someone said, oh, I can't make it there at this point in time, I got something else that has come up, go ahead, proceed. Yeah, all good. And then obviously the testing information will follow that and the QC report. But the way this reads is there's nothing saying that clearly that the testing hasn't been done. And this is what happens if you do not have testing completed per the required frequency.
Very good observation.
Yeah.
Something to the effect of mechanically excavating test pits to expose previously compacted lifts that have not been previously tested to obtain compaction tests is allowed.
Yeah, that's kind of awkward, but yeah, I think you got it.
I want to make sure I'm understanding. Okay.
Yeah, you could say previously compacted but untested lifts.
Undocumented.
Yeah, undocumented.
I think documentation is the key to the entire process.
Right.
And what happens is everyone gets in a hurry and someone can't show up, and so the problems ensue. I can see the day where a contractor has his own geotech firm working for him. Probably conflict of interest, but it can be tough.
Well,
You need
any
them out there all the time, full time.
Any suggestions of what we could add to
I like
address that here?
But yeah, but undocumented. That's it. That sounds simple. Compacted but undocumented lifts, between compacted and lifts.
So mechanically excavating test pits to expose previously undocumented compacted?
Previously compacted but undocumented.
Okay.
So just adding the words "but undocumented"
That's
between.
what Rob was saying. I kind of like that. It's simple.
How about this as an option? At the start of the paragraph, we say, at the discretion of the engineer, comma, mechanically excavating test pits to expose previously compacted lifts when testing documentation is not available may be allowed. And then you start a new sentence and provide the rest of the stipulations of that.
That was really good. And I like may and not shall.
Because the idea is that the testing should have been done, could have been done, but as we've discussed, in lieu of ripping up all the compaction and redoing it and having it observed and tested throughout, then the engineer may allow these test pits to occur where the previous documentation is not available. So that's the way I'd break that sentence into two, because it does get kind of long and wordy, but that's my suggestion. Don't make me repeat it because I won't get it right again.
It was really good, Ryan.
I just got to
Well,
get
let's try to recreate it. What was it? At the discretion of the engineer?
At the discretion of the engineer, comma, mechanically excavating test pits to expose previously compacted lifts where documentation is not available may be allowed.
Has the committee ever thought about having a lawyer on the committee just to listen to some of our legalese? Just a question.
Yeah, we did years back, Paul, but MAG couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
Advise not to put an attorney on this committee. The meetings will become 3 times longer. I know from experience.
and get half as much done.
Yeah, probably.
Or anything done.
Hey, Ryan,
Yeah,
I captured the beginning of that and the end of it, but I'm missing part in the middle. I don't know if you can see this little note at the bottom here. I was trying to
yeah,
catch what you said.
yeah. Mechanically excavating test pits. I think just continuing with the wording that's already in there, mechanically excavating test pits to expose previously compacted lifts. And then I add in where documentation, where compact, whatever was what, I don't remember what I said now, where documentation is not available.
Okay, what I have is at the discretion of the engineer, mechanically excavating test pits to expose previously compacted lifts where documentation is not available may be allowed.
Correct. And then I think the next sentence is the rest of the information. I haven't thought that far ahead, but it would say something along the lines of compaction test in the test pits. Let's see here.
Well, I think it's a little more straightforward than that. You start with test locations shall be selected by the engineer as designated representative.
There you go.
Test pit locations and depths shall be selected by the engineer or designated technical representative.
And I like that. And I would say I would just add test pit locations for the compaction test, or test pit locations and depths for the compaction testing shall be.
Shall be selected by, yeah, and
right.
Go right into, instead of R, change to shall be. Then it just stays selected by the engineer designated representative, period.
There you go.
So, so this case here, this will not encourage, or will this encourage contractors to simply backfill everything and then say, oh, we'll you do some test pits and then move on?
I'll speak. I would say absolutely not. It's going to cost me much more money to go back and dig a test pit and shore it and get compaction test on a test pit location determined by somebody else than doing it while I'm backfilling that particular set or process. So,
and I think that's why we leave it at the discretion of the engineer also. It's just because it leaves that, it's not a guarantee that that's going to be accepted. Now, ideally, if something got overlooked, everyone's playing nice together, then that's a good option. But if contractors choosing to go that route, there's no guarantee that that's the acceptable, method of going back and correcting it.
Perfect.
Joe would never do that, by the way. He's right.
Absolutely not. I could see somebody just wanting to mess with me one day and making me go back and do a bunch of test pits, though. No, I think that's good verbiage. Thanks, Ryan.
Sounds like we have a change. Is that? I'm not hearing anybody.
Yeah, no,
with
I think
any comments?
that's a good comment. It addresses that.
Yes.
Again, this is if the contractor follows the table and everything goes okay with the lab out there, he's got no problems. But if he gets, he doesn't do it, and we're trying to work with the contractor. Here's a recourse where you can go back and you can do these test pits. So.
So
I think we captured what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, I do too.
So So I blew up this note a little bigger so people can read it.
Yeah, I think that that addresses the comment. Not hearing any other comments on that. Jim, did you say there was one more that Phoenix had, or was that all of them?
Yeah, no, there's one more. I think, let me look.
Yeah, it was a note on the table, Jim.
Oh, yeah, that's right. If you look at the notes on the table,
Where ABC is being used for backfill.
yeah, it says where, note number 4, where ABC is used for final backfill testing may be decreased to every other lift with agency approval. And I guess City of Phoenix didn't want that in there for some reason. I don't know why. I mean, I know they want to maybe test every lift, but again, that gives you the choice right here to do that. So you're going to test every lift, but if you're using ABC, you know, you may be able to go every other lift, but the agency's still got to prove it. So
Right, it's still.
I don't, you know, Phoenix you still have a say in that. So.
Yeah, I would let this one go because it says it may be decreased. It doesn't say it has to be or whatever. So again,
Yeah.
it's to discretion.
It gives an inspector an opportunity to move the job forward when it's being done properly.
Well, and again, we're trying to you know, work with people and you know, if you don't have to use a native, you should be able to, if you're going to use a better material like ABC, or if you elect to go with CLSM, you know, that should be, I mean, granted, there's costs associated with that, but you know, the where you can, we should be able to capture some cost back, you know, from testing. So like if you use CLSM, you don't have any testing, obviously, but the cost of the CLSM is expensive, but it offsets, you know, it helps to offset the cost of all the testing you have. So
Okay. Just publishing the rules to the game will help every agency and every contractor. So I think it's great.
yeah, and again, I mean, the couple of labs I've talked to say this is great because when they get like a lot of times they have to give lump sum prices or quotes for testing, and you know, there's no baseline. They have no idea, and cities, you know, can go out there and say, well, I want all this, and the contractors ain't got to fight with the developer or owner to get more money, you know, because the lab didn't cover it. So this gives the labs what they want as a baseline, and they can say, look, I'm going to bid it per mag. You know, if the city wants more or the contractor, you know, has issues and it needs to be more, then he can, you know, he can get the extra money justified. Right. So that's another plus about having this in there now.
I can actually see it beneficial on both sides of the table because like Paul was saying, so you're going to start this project out and you're going to be able to create this testing log from the beginning. So geotech's going to say, hey, you know, I'm going to take, you know, 300 tests, whatever number it may be. They can quantify that, put dollar signs to it. And when they get into the process, you know, if the city decides, hey, you know what, I think I want more tests here. Now, even the contractor and the owner can go back and say, but this is the minimum testing. We are meeting our minimum requirements. So there would be, and I'm kind of going for the more flexible on both sides, kind of arguing for the contractor and for the cities, because it's giving us a base, it's giving us and them a baseline. Where I think that, you know, kind of like you were talking, Jim, that, hey, we can create a budget that is a lot closer than just, you know, kind of a wing and a prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got to have a baseline to start from. I mean, if anybody's done any bidding, you know, you got to have a place to start, and this provides that. Here's your minimum.
So if I'm a contractor and I'm looking at that note 4, I have an opportunity to improve my bid or chances by saying, with my bid, I'm taking the may part of that. We're decreasing. We're using ABC. So we're going to decrease every other lift. Agency at that point has the choice to say, no, we don't like that, and we'd like to go ahead and have you do every lift. But at least it's up front.
Exactly. So
it can start the discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can start the discussion at least.
Yeah, and how do you screw up ABC? Come on.
Yeah,
Seriously.
yeah.
So,
All right, well, that's the last comment, and I didn't get any of the comments from anybody else, so. I think we've discussed them and addressed two of them. So I don't know. I know it was up for vote. So I would propose we vote with the changes that we've implemented here, so.
yeah. So I would actually make a motion for that. Anybody want to second it?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Thank you, Alan. So,
Well, let me hold on, let me back up. Brian, are you okay with the changes?
No, I think they're good. I think they were good clarifications.
All right, yeah, thanks for your time and running it through the group with materials group. That was a big help. So.
So just to clarify, the changes that you want to accept were back here, changing scarified to otherwise disturbed. And then in this last section, we're talking about the part that's highlighted here would be replaced with the text here. And the other two are going to remain as is.
Actually, I think it's more than the highlighted part that gets replaced. I think it's from the start of the, I think it's that first sentence is where it starts.
So this whole thing from here on.
Yes, except for there's that no hydro excavating of test pits shall be allowed. I think that is intended to stay. So it's just that first sentence and the third sentence.
So you're getting rid of the one that says excavation of test pits shall be done during full-time observation by the engineer designated geotech.
I think that was intended to stay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I think so
needs
too.
to stay.
So we're just replacing the first sentence.
Yes. I
Yeah.
think so.
Yes.
Okay, so this part right here will replace just the first sentence and the rest will remain.
Yes.
Yes.
I still second that.
Hey, Gordon, can you, when you get done, can you blow that back up again? And one proposed change.
This?
Uh-huh. Test pit location. So it says test pit locations and depths for the compaction testing shall be directed by the engineer. How about selected by? Selected by the engineer or designated geotechnical representative? Because they're selecting the location and depth. I mean, to me, that makes more sense.
You're right.
Or selected ED.
Yeah,
ED.
Sorry. Uh-huh. Got a complex sentence.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
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 All right.
So I believe we have motioned and seconded, and the items that will be changed, 601.2.5 from scarified to disturbed, and 601.4.6, we're going to revise that first sentence. I'm not going to recite it, but what Gordon has there on the screen. That's correct?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to bring up the roll call. For the case 2112 minimum testing, Avondale.
Yes.
Buckeye is a yes. Chandler,
Yes.
El Mirage, not present. Gilbert,
Yes.
Glendale,
Yes.
Goodyear, not present. Maricopa County,
Yes.
Mesa,
Yes.
Peoria,
Yes.
Phoenix,
Yes.
Scottsdale, City of Scottsdale, might come back to them in a second. City of Surprise,
Yes.
City of Tempe,
Yes.
and Youngtown is not present. Scottsdale, are you there yet? Not hearing. We might have dropped them off the call. So anyways, looks like case 2112, the minimum testing frequency is passed with 11 yeses, 4 not presents, and revising the first sentence of section 601.4.6 and changing the word to disturbed in section 601.2.5. All right.
Hey guys, I'm sorry I'll be dropping off the call. I hope you will have a quorum after I leave. I have a conflict that I have a hard stop.
We will still have a quorum. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Gordon. Bye.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, everyone. Thanks,
All right.
Materials Group. Thanks, Rob. It's a lot of work. I think it'll be a big help, so.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you everybody for your help on this. Long time coming.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be very well utilized over the years.
Yeah, now hopefully all the agencies most of the agencies will get rid of their own tables now.
Right. All right, moving on to item number 10, case 2113, the new detail 227 for sediment traps. Bashar. Are you on the phone, Bashar?
He's the one who just had to leave.
Oh, he just had to walk out. Okay.
I believe Eric is on the line though, and he's the person at Tempe who worked on the detail. Eric, are you still there?
Yes, answer.
Do you want to give an update for what any of the changes, or I believe 227, the sediment traps, is up for possible action. We get any comments on that over the past month?
So the only comments were for the notes. As far as the actual details, views and everything, sections, there were no comments. And so the I think that there were four notes that were all revised, and I think was it note 2 and 4 were removed. Note number 1 was modified, and note number 2 shown here was modified, which was previously 3.
Okay.
Basically, note number 1 here just is a reminder that the dimensions should be adjusted based on the site drainage requirements. For instance, scour depth and
Hey, I got it.
With the-
ACM?
and
No, what?
width of the curb opening.
Yeah, okay, good.
And then the concrete, so then note number 2, type A, concrete was removed, and we're going with the type B as when the sediment trap is likely cleaned out. If it's larger, then they can easily have a backhoe or something on those lines drive over it, which would need the type B concrete in there. So that's about the only change there.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any additional comments or concerns on this, or do you think we're all ready for a vote on this one as well?
Keep thinking about the words per the engineer. Should that be as shown on the plans?
Or shown as shown on the approved plans?
Yeah. Because there would be a dimension on the actual plans. This is the detail.
So just take off per the engineer and put on the approved plans?
Yeah, at the very bottom, if you look at section BB per civil plans.
Right. So are you thinking about changing the note number 1 at the
Just
end?
the words, yeah, just the words the engineer to civil plans. There's to be consistent with cross section BB. And
I see what you- yeah, okay.
I agree with that comment. As it's written now, it's almost like it's a field determined width or dimensions, and it should be noted on the plans from the beginning.
I think that's an excellent comment too.
Yeah, we just make it consistent with the other notes that are on there.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Now, did you want to leave it, Peter, as civil plans, or did you want to put the word approved in there?
I'm open either way. I'm just trying to make it consistent with the other notes in there.
Yeah, I don't think you need approved. That's the only thing people should be building from.
Okay. Any other comments? Not hearing any. Can I get a motion for approval on case 2113?
A motion, pro.
Okay, I think we had 2 there.
I'll motion.
I second then.
Okay.
Okay, Jim, sounds like you were the motion, and who was the second? Sorry.
Al.
Okay, Al. Okay.
I think I hit the buzzer first.
Okay. Okay. So case 2113, detail 227, we're gonna vote for approval with the change in note 2 to the civil plans. City of Avondale.
Yes.
City of Buckeye is a yes. City of Chandler.
Yes.
El Mirage not present. City of Gilbert.
Yes.
City of Glendale.
Yes.
City of Goodyear not present. Maricopa County.
Yes.
City of Mesa.
Yes.
City of Peoria.
Yes.
City of Phoenix.
Yes.
City of Scottsdale. Ooh, almost did it.
Say, is it too late to add me for case 12 as well? Sorry about that.
So as a yes.
Yes, sorry, yes.
Okay, so that would change that one to 12 and 3. Thank you. And City of Scottsdale for case 2113.
Yes.
Okay, City of Surprise.
Yes.
City of Tempe.
Bashir's not here.
She's gone. And City of Youngtown is not present. So that'll take us to 11 yeses and 4 not presents. All right, case 2113, detail 227 passes. Thank you, everybody. And moving on to item number 11, case 2114, new landscaping related specifications. Ryan, I think you had that one.
I do. And we've been waiting for comments from the different agencies on this. And Wayne, I don't know if you want to give an update. I'm not aware of any comments that have come in. at least not to me. But Wayne, I don't know if you have more of an update.
No, Ryan, you're correct. We've gotten no comments from anyone since we submitted to the outside the right-of-way group. So we're still waiting on those. And I believe based on that, I know we discussed with Peter probably forwarding these cases, this and the next one, to next year. Given that we've had, the working group, which is about 45 individuals of various agencies, many of the communities, MAG communities, and other professionals. From the MAG committees themselves, we've received no comments. So I believe the sentiment was just to move forward to next year with the landscape and the irrigation, which for on the line, those were sections 425, which was topsoil, 430 landscaping, 440 irrigation, 557 was irrigation components, and 795, which was the landscape materials.
Okay. Sounds like we will just carry this over to next year. Look forward to some comments, hopefully over the downtime, and see if we can't get some momentum on this case.
And if we don't get comments after like the second month next year, we'll just start voting on it. How about that?
I think that's great.
All right. Thank you very much.
I'm good with that. Ryan, thanks for your help.
Is all the changes or the new stuff uploaded on the website?
Yes, you can look at the latest versions on the cases under consideration page. So, yeah, if you just, from the committee page, if you click on the link that goes there, you can download those cases individually. So,
all right. Is it pretty substantial stuff?
Yes. Section 430, the landscaping, is pretty much a total brand new section, quite a number in 440. The topsoil in 425 has some additions, trying to get as close as we can to marrying the topsoil definition in MAG and that in ADOT. 795, also because the landscape section in 430 was substantially modified, has quite a bit of changes. So it would take, a fair amount of going through to really understand the differences. And mostly what it's trying to do is to get everything updated to current practices. These sections haven't been touched for decades, really. And so there's quite a bit of catch up to do to get them to current standards and practices.
I think the key here is with the specifications, it's you might as well just treat them as full reviews as new sections, even though we're replacing some existing information. As far as the review goes, just look at them as completely new. And then the details themselves, of course, are new, haven't existed in the past.
True. I forgot to mention that. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, the details are, as many of the others that you've been talking about, are a compilation of details from various municipalities. Again, trying to come up with common details that everyone can work with, not precluding any of the municipalities for making their own supplements to those or modifications. There are substantial details. I think there are something like 12 or 14 landscape ones, and somewhere around a little more than that of irrigation details, starting with the rudiments of the irrigation system.
This will replace what we currently have in the right-of-way MAG?
Yes, that's the intent. Although, as Ryan indicated, these details do not exist in the current documents.
Right. So the outside right-of-way group's going to work on it, but it's not new. It's not going to be part of the new spec. It's going to revise the current MAG old spec.
Yes, that's correct.
All right.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Good.
so
It needs it.
and the intent would be to add these details into the current right-of-way mag until we get a basically a new enough information that we can start an out of right-of-way book and then pull them out of the mag and put them in the out of right-of-way. Is that what the intent was on that?
Not necessarily.
No. The intent was that these would be for inside the right of way. The outside of right of way is a separate undertaking, let's say. And so these would be inside the right of way documents.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're going to have the landscaping and irrigation inside the right of way that it's still applicable to. And certainly it could be used for anything outside the right of way also.
Yes, that's correct, Ryan. Although the group had, there was quite a bit of interest in developing more green infrastructure type specifications and details. Those were discussed as being part of the outside of the right-of-way activities. Although most recently, and Peter can elaborate a little more on this, there was some discussion of maybe the outside of the right-of-way stuff may not be applicable here within MAG, and I'll leave Peter to explain that.
Yeah, and I think that's what you were saying, Craig, that the thought was let's get within the right of way taken care of first, which sets a baseline. And then we would look at items that would be the low impact development types of things that would then apply less in the right of way, that'd be in addition to this. So we wanted to get this done first, and then we'd go after the elements that sit behind the curb, behind the sidewalk, as supplemental to all of this. It wouldn't be new, or it wouldn't be just take this and modify it. It would be in addition to what's in MAG, this is the other stuff that goes on.
No, that's a good approach. I think you guys are on track. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when with Eric developing that the detail for the sediment basin, well, automatically now we're looking at spillway details because we realized, well, there's really not a sufficient spillway detail in MAG. And these are all starting to just come onto each other. We see one, how it adds on both directions. And that's, I think they're really complementing each other, but there's going to have to be some point we say, where do we want the right-of-way ones to end and where do we put something else? But very first, let's get the right-of-way stuff done first.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
no, it's good. I mean, it needs a big update, that's for sure. And a lot of cities do landscaping and right of ways and public areas. So they need a baseline spec. I know some cities will always have supplements because they have like theme areas. You know, there's a certain theme for a certain part of town, and you really can't put all these themes in MAG. But you need a basis again to start with. So minimum.
And the vast majority of what you see there is taken from supplements that many of the agencies have. The details, I think, are heavily, they go to, I think, City of Tempe had many of these. Wasn't that right, Wayne? Isn't that what?
Yeah, I would say this was primarily a mix of Tempe, Mesa, and Chandler.
Yeah. And I've gone through the City of Scottsdale looking at it, and it's very complimentary.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely see two things right off the bat. With these details, our regular in the right of way typical detail, we're going to have to up our game a little bit. Those are some pretty fancy details. The other thing is the numbering. We'll need to look at the numbering and see how we can fit those in the MAG book.
Yeah, that's
yeah. We've discussed that as to what numbering system you can see right now. They're just numbered 1 through whatever, because that numbering system was to be determined still as to where they would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, Craig, that we're going to have to look at landscaping and irrigation almost separately from the groupings that we have right now. And we have them in the standard, but we don't have them in the details.
Yeah. So that'll be something we can tackle next year or even maybe throughout the off season. So no, excellent work.
Well, when
Excellent.
you guys, when this goes to, when we do get this in front of us for the vote on, is it gonna, we're gonna have to take both the specs and the details probably together, I would imagine?
Well, they are cases right now. One's the specs and one's the details.
All right, so you got two separate cases.
Yes.
Okay.
They can be approved separately, but in general, they would, it would make total sense to do them as at the same time.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to be referencing the detail that's not in there yet.
Well, the specs have not been, they're not tied to specific details, which was one of the ways that we tried to get around that. But
That's good.
the details and the specs are, I don't want to say tailored, but certainly geared towards one another.
I think in the long run, we could have the details referencing back to the specs, probably better than the other way around.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay. And that may be one of the comments we have for next year, but we definitely don't want to take a chance of one not passing and the other then having to get thrown out for that reason.
Right. No. Good.
I just want to say again, thanks Ryan and Peter and Gordon for all your assistance here in pulling these together.
So, all right. Well, and I think that takes care of item number 12 as well, case 2115. We kind of talked about the specs and the details together. So, moving on to item number 13, potential cases for 2022. Anybody have any items that they possibly can see, or everybody can just kind of keep their eyes open throughout the off season and we can start our list next year?
I did want to mention we try and have the miscellaneous corrections always as case 01. So I'll have kind of a placeholder for that. It sounds like one thing we might want to add to that at the very start is the finished definition. Just as we're scrolling through the proposed landscaping details, I noticed some of them said finished and some of them said finish. So they're still, both are being used.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But yeah, if anyone notices other little things, we can add to the miscellaneous corrections in the off season. You see a typo or something that's not quite right.
So just for fun here, I'm still debating on this one, but section 102.10, withdrawal or revision of proposals. I'm considering proposing we take out that you may withdraw your proposal in writing or by telegram from the specification and just leave it in writing, just so you guys know. We still allow telegrams as a way of withdrawing your proposal.
Didn't even have the fact, they skipped from fax machine or skipped right
Pony
over fax.
Express was taken out?
I mean, right now we only allow in writing or by telegram, so it may be a little bit too restrictive, but that's something I'm considering.
Well, we are the West, so we could throw smoke signals in there too.
Hey, Gordon, I did send you an email with a proposed edit on 105.9.
I think I did see that. Let me see. Right here.
Yeah, there's just that second sentence has the sentence is separated by spaces.
Okay, well, I can fix the spacing when I do the update to the book this time anyway. I don't know. That doesn't really change anything as far as the content, so.
No, not at all.
Sometimes I'll add like a space to get the paragraph to go to the next page, but when something edits, sometimes it'll push the text down and throw some of those page spacings off. So that's probably what happened.
Okay. Other than that, potential cases for 2022. Again, if anybody sees anything then definitely bring them up and we can look at them. If it's small, we can put it on case 2201. Other than that, we'll.
This is Carl. I had that the sidewalk detail to talk about the a minimum. We have a maximum grade, but put a minimum grade on it.
You're talking for the cross slope, is that?
For next year, potential case.
Oh, yeah, we can definitely look at that one.
Which detail was that?
230?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we had a list of potential new cases in the last meeting, and
Right.
there's also potential cases from the working group. So, when we come back in January, I can probably compile a pretty long list of ones for people to talk about.
Right. So, great
Yeah,
year though, guys.
230. Okay, yeah, that'd be good.
All right. But yeah, great year, guys. Item number 14, working group reports. Want to go through those fairly quickly. Water and sewer, Jim?
Well, we just met on 8/24 and just covered everything that the cases, the two main cases that we discussed. The water hauling one, and the spent a lot of time on the frequency testing, compaction testing. So that was about it. So and we could discuss some of the upcoming cases for next year too. So we got another year planned for next year. So.
Thank you.
We decided to call it a year, so we'll just start up in January again. So.
Right. So, all right. Thanks, Jim. Asphalt materials, Greg, Brian, Jeff?
No report, no meeting.
No meeting. And Peter, outside of right away, we kind of talked quite a bit about that.
Yeah, I think we've gone through everything we did in our last calls. So I think we've summarized it well already.
Okay.
And we are planning to have a meeting in September though, right?
Yes.
Peter?
Yeah, we still have we want to get organized to start moving forward with some of the other cases, spillway detail, the detention tanks and those things. Plus we need to still move forward and finish up with the irrigation details.
So are we gonna try and plan on the September 23rd?
Yeah.
I don't have anything on my calendar yet. So.
I don't know. I have to talk to Ann. I think it was the 23rd.
Yeah, when you talk to her, can you get back to me so we can add it to our web calendar and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think you talked about cases. We do have a lot of ideas we want to continue with. Obviously, there will be the irrigation revisions to the standards and then the new details. At the very least, we'll have those. So we'd like to try to hit the ground running in January and present some cases.
Okay. So for the group, for clarity, that's just a working group meeting. We're not going to have not another main group meeting this year.
Just the working group.
Okay. All righty. Moving on to item number 15, just general discussion. I think we already talked about the October meeting. Doesn't sound like we will be having that unless somebody thinks that we need to.
No, but I have a comment, Craig.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering what the unintended circumstances of the case that we voted on today with potable water will do to the Maricopa County Water Permit Desk next year. It'll be interesting to see.
Hopefully, honestly, hopefully, because now everybody will they'll start following by the rules.
There you go. There'll probably be a line. So I just wondered if anyone contacted the county and gave them a little warning, they're going to see a little bit more activity. Because when the entire industry has to do that, it's going to make an impact, I think. Anyway, that's my comment. Hope to see everybody next year.
So like I said, October meeting, not hearing anything. Anybody needs anything? Final staff report, Gordon?
I just wanted to kind of outline the next steps I'll be taking for getting the 2022 update ready. All the cases that have been passed this year, including the ones that were passed today, I'll begin updating the CAD details and the Meg Specs and Details book. I'm also going to write a brief summary of each case and a packet that includes a summary of the cases and a draft update packet will be put together and sent out to the Public Works directors probably before the end of this month. And they'll have 30 days to review it. At the same time that I send it out to them, I'll also send the notice. It's all going to be online, but I'll send the notice to this group as well so that you can review and make sure that all of the cases that you worked on have been correctly incorporated in the book and no errors took place in the intro. And if you do notice anything, please let me know so we can get that corrected. You know, things like the final wording that we did today, I want to make sure that that's all done. So after the Public Works directors have a chance to review it, if they send out any comments, then they'll also be included. I'll send those to the chair as well as make a note of them to the MEG Management Committee, which meets in November, and the MEG Regional Council, which meets the first week of December. They typically are on their calendar for on the consent agenda, so they don't normally hear about them. They just are notified that the MEG book is being updated and what the update packet will look like. And then if it goes through and is approved on those agendas, then I can have the new books and update packets printed in December with the goal of having it released both online and available for purchase on January 1st. So that's the plan. And like I said, as I'm working on the different cases and updating the books, I may send them to the case sponsors to have them do a quick review and make sure that I got everything done correctly.
Okay.
Sounds good. Now you do your overtime, Gordon.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he hasn't already.
I just want to say Gordon was awesome. Sorry.
Nope. Yeah, Gordon,
Hey, Gordon,
he's got
this is
overtime.
Roy.
Yes.
I was just going to ask, are we looking at some point in the future, whether it's the next time or further down the line, going with a different hole punch or whatever for the specs from the 7-hole punch or whatever? Is that something that's being looked at all?
Yeah, actually that happened this past year. We couldn't get binders that had 7-hole binders in them anymore. So the new binders that they're selling only have the 3 rings. However, we're probably going to continue with the 7-hole punch until we have a brand new, completely new edition, because that way the people who purchase the update packets and have the older binders can still put the books in their existing binders. How long we need to continue that kind of depends on how long people will use the old binders. We may want to continue 7-hole punching them anyway.
The 7-hole
that makes a lot
punch,
of sense. I like the. Yeah, I was just going to say I like the 7-hole punch. I think it holds up better in the field, but it's just too bad we can't get anybody that
yeah,
makes the binders or does.
Yeah, they don't even do. They didn't even do the special order 7-ring binders anymore. We couldn't find anywhere last year who would make them. So,
hey Gordon, the 7-hole punch fits in a 3-ring binder, doesn't it?
yes, it does. So,
Okay.
so the 7 holes, the three of the holes will fit in a 3-ring binder, and then the other holes will fit in the 7-ring binder. So, the 7-hole punch works in either of them.
Yeah,
Hey, Roy, I got some extra 7-hole binders if you want to for purchase.
So, all right. Well, thank you, Gordon. Any other discussion items for the 2021 year?
No, it was a good year with all with the big change online. I think we did a lot. We got a lot done. So it's kudos to everybody. So
Yeah, I wanted to especially thank you, Craig, this is your last meeting as chair, and you did a good job switching from regular meetings to most of your tenure as virtual meetings. And so I know it was kind of a big change, and I think we did
Yeah, I
manage
think
to
it
get
was.
a lot done.
I think it was a big change for the entire group, and I just want to say thank you to the entire group. You know, this whole COVID challenge is difficult for everybody, and I think we stormed through it, and everybody here did a great job. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Craig.
Yeah, thanks, Craig.
So,
Yeah,
Hope
thank
you
you,
come
guys.
back.
all right.
Yeah, did a great job.
So, all right, guys. Well, again, I appreciate 2021 and everybody's work that they've done. We've gone a little bit over on our meeting, but we will make this meeting adjourned.
See you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
See you guys.
Have a good off season.